launching downfield, underthrown and intercepted. Keely Ringo has an escort down the sidelines.
Heartbreak, longing, despair, letdown, choke.
These are words Atlanta sports fans are all too used to hearing.
Until now.
No more negative expectations. No more playing the victim. No more fair weather freeloaders. No more.
38-yard field goal by Morton Anderson. The hold, the kick, it's on the way, it's up and good. The Falcons are going to the Super Bowl. The Falcons are going to the Super Bowl.
From the Mesmerized Studios in Woodstock, Georgia, Believe Entertainment proudly presents Believe in Atlanta Sports with your hosts, Robert Taylor and the Commissioner, Mark Rich.
Hello, Atlanta sports fans, and welcome to this, my Coronation. This is the Coronation episode, because what I have done, I have crowned myself the king of all Atlanta sports talk. I am the king of Believe. You must all bow before me. I am King Podulus of Podcastia, and that sounds so ridiculous, and I look ridiculous. And I even did this. We have on our show today, he was so great to come on, retired NFL defensive back. He was a linebacker. He was a safety. 9 seasons, I believe, if I'm correct. Mr. Bryan Scott.
Good morning, y'all. Good morning.
And you're probably wondering, what have I gotten myself into and what is going on here? Well,
I thought I was the jester.
I look ridiculous, and because I look ridiculous, I'm going to try to make a point. We had a show not too long ago. The Lions played the Falcons in preseason. You played a little preseason football, and I'm of the mindset that not that it doesn't matter. I know. Are you one of the guys that was like preseason? I'm not a huge fan. I know a lot of guys don't like preseason.
That's true.
So what happened is, Desmond Ridder, he came out and he looked okay. He looked good. He made some nice plays, but the Atlanta sports world went crazy and said he's not leaving without a Super Bowl. He is the chosen one. He is Neo. Just forget about everything else. And I said the sample size is a little too small, and that's ridiculous. Now, this is our 6th show. The sample size is a little too small for me to go crowning myself the king of everything in the sports talk world. And we already have Chuck Oliver. There's already one king in Atlanta. Maybe we can duke it out. But
I'd pay to watch that fight.
Yeah. So I'm going to get ready. I'm going to change here. I'm going to take this ridiculous getup off, put my hat back on. But we did our homework, and we have a little bio on you for the fans out there. Mark's going to run it down, and then we're going to let you take the mic and tell us exactly why you're here with the two of us this morning. He started a business. You were on Shark Tank, and we're going to let you do the rundown. And then after that, we're just going to chop it up and see where it goes.
So I got real excited, and I was like, I'm going to be like the dude from Hot Ones, and I'm going to get Bryan Scott with some really cool stuff. And I knew your name. I knew who you were, but there was just something that I couldn't get. I was like, damn it, there's something about him. I know there's something about him. And then as soon as I hit my little deep dive last night, I was like, man. So half the reason I'm doing this is because I fell in love with the Two Live Stews.
Hey.
And your name came up so often from those guys. Uh-huh. So, man, that's so awesome. You're cousins with Doug and Ryan,
Doug
right?
and Ryan, yep. That's my family.
Right on, man. Yes. And I was like, there it is. Okay, now I'm comfortable. Now it's not going to bug me. It's not going to be in the back of my head. But yeah, like I used to, when I first moved to Atlanta, and sorry to talk about me, this is kind of rude.
No, not at all.
When I first moved to Atlanta, I was actually selling life insurance, but I was traveling selling life insurance. And I moved up here, and I moved in with one of my roommates from college, and he's like, "You got to listen to these guys," because he got me the job. So he was doing the same thing. He's like, "I listen to these guys every single day," and then I did for forever and ever and ever. And honestly, like it just, I've always loved sports. I've always wanted to talk about sports for a living.
Yeah.
But listening to those guys was just so unbelievably fun. I was like, now this is it. This
Very
makes sense to
entertaining.
me.
And that's how they always were.
I
Family
don't doubt it.
reunions. Oh, they're brothers, right? Just
Well, and you
going
can
at it. You hear it. Oh,
It's so great. But enough about me. I just thought that was so cool. Yeah, college at Penn State. You're from Pennsylvania.
yep.
Drafted in 2003 by the Falcons. Pick 55, round 2. 592 total tackles, 10.5 sacks, 9 forced fumbles, 9 fumbles recovered, 11 interceptions, 2 touchdowns.
I think they cheated me. I think there's 3 actually.
3 touchdowns?
There's 3.
That's even better
Yes.
because my next question was, do you remember all your touchdowns?
Yeah, there's 3. They cheated me out of 1.
Please tell me about that.
I totally will. So 1 came in. We played San Diego, the Chargers, and Phillip Rivers. He went back for it was a screen pass, and he went to throw the ball, and he fumbled it, and I knocked it out of his hands and recovered it in the end zone. That was 1. Another, Mark Sanchez returned for a touchdown, and the other, Cincinnati, the Bengals, an interception for return. So yeah, they cheat. Man, I need to call NFL.com.
Let's get Goodell on the phone
I
right
need
now.
to do that.
I'm just going to send a strongly
As a
worded
defensive
email.
player, they don't come very often.
Yeah, no,
Cherish
that's-
those memories.
That's why they're so amazing. So we talked a little bit before the show, and I said I was going to skip over. You were with the Falcons till 06, and then I told you I was going to skip over 06 to 07 because you went to our neighbors that smell like corn dogs down in New Orleans.
We like to call them the Aints.
Be nice. Be nice.
I know, but then I was going to lead into the fact, but then you explained to me a different story, which made me kind of retract what I was going to say. So tell me a little bit about the scenario when you went to New Orleans.
Yeah, so when I got traded, and at first thinking, I'm going behind enemy lines, going to play for the Saints. I don't like any of the guys on the team, But when I got down there, it was really a completely different vibe. It was Coach Payton's first year. They had just brought in Coach Payton. Drew Brees had just signed, got there. That draft, we drafted Reggie Bush, but it was the year after Katrina. And so going down there, as I was flying in and I'm seeing all the devastation, on the buildings and the watermarks that are super high up, thinking like, man, this whole area was underwater. I was thinking, why am I here? Like, God, why are you sending me to this place? Of all places I could have ended up. And that season was just magical, man. Yes, the team did really well. Ended up going to the NFC championship game. We lost to Chicago. But I spent a lot of time in the community, and I love that kind of stuff. And that was so fulfilling, and just doing a small part in helping to rebuild the city. So it meant a heck of a lot.
Absolutely. Way bigger than football.
Way bigger than football.
Man.
Yeah.
Then signed as a free agent for Tennessee, you said,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and then released, and right before that, picked up by the Bills, where you spent 6 years.
6 years. Yeah.
Man. We did talk a little bit before the show. I do have one question.
Yes.
Do you like chicken wings?
I love chicken wings.
Atlanta or Buffalo? What's better?
I got to give it to Buffalo.
Stop it.
I know. It's the home. It's the home of.
Yeah, I mean,
it's called Buffalo.
yeah,
Buffalo wings.
I don't. Oh, okay.
It is there.
It's fair. I went to Buffalo once in my entire life when I
Yes.
was younger, and I wasn't. I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know back then, or else I would have tried more wings. And I haven't been up there to try more. However, there's the Anchor
the
Bar.
Anchor Bar. They just opened one up here.
Not great.
I haven't been to the one here.
Not great.
Oh, you got to go because it's a Bills bar.
Okay.
Oh,
Bills
yeah.
Backers
Mafia.
bar. Yeah, Bills
and
Backers
we're
bar,
going to
yeah.
talk about that a little later.
Okay.
But okay.
Well, I will
Well, I am
say.
shocked.
So I will say the Anchor Bar to me wasn't one of the favorites. There were other local spots, and they also have the Buffalo Wing Festival up there, where it's the baseball stadium that's up there, and the entire stadium they fill the infield, and you're just down there, vendor after vendor after
Everybody's
vendor after
best
vendor.
wings.
Is there a dunking booth filled with ranch? And you get to throw
Ranch.
it.
See,
Mhm.
I don't think we do
Blue cheese is
blue cheese.
Okay. I like
yes,
both.
Sir. All
personally.
right.
Now,
See, I'm neither.
wings or flats or both?
I'm a both guy, but I know
Yeah.
a lot of people prefer flats.
See, I would argue that if you don't like both, you're not really a wing person.
Yeah, I
because-
like
Equal
both.
opportunity.
Yes. I'll tear 'em both up.
Oh yeah.
Not to mention, they do understand that has to be broken into 2 pieces, right? So
Well,
it's all
see,
one
there's
wing.
some places where you can put the flat in your mouth.
Oh yeah.
Clean.
Wow.
It's
Can I tell a chicken wing story real quick?
Go for it.
I had just gotten to college. Well, no, I had been in for a little while, and I transferred to University of Georgia, and I was working in an Italian restaurant, and there was this really pretty waitress, and I liked her so much, and I wanted to go out with her, and I finally got up the courage, and I asked her out, and we went out on a date. Very casual, just downtown Athens in the summertime. I don't know if you've ever been down to Athens.
I have.
Okay.
Yep.
So we order wings, and they get to the table, and she proceeds to start eating chicken wings with a knife and a fork.
That was the last.
You run away from that psychopath?
Listen. I got up. I went to the bathroom. I flagged down the waiter. I paid for everything. I said, here's a little extra if she wants another drink or something, and I left.
Sure.
Can't do.
No. There's
True
something.
story.
Dead eyes. Like, what was going on there? Like, there's something wrong there. Oof, man. And I meant to tell you this earlier before the show. So we do this thing on the show called the Fave 5.
Okay.
And I put a little poll up on Twitter to see what people wanted to hear our favorite 5 of this week. So before the end of the show, I'm going to ask you about your favorite 5 Adam Sandler movies. Before you go.
Okay.
So
All
just
right.
to give you time to think
give me time
about it,
to
so I
think
don't want
about
to put you on the
Yeah,
spot
no
about
worries.
that stuff. But so I also read, and I don't want to butcher the name, the company you went on Shark Tank for.
Yes, Noeen.
Okay. Perfect. Now I also see that you're the VP of Strategic Growth for Foot Solutions.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Do those go hand in hand?
They go hand in hand. They
Beautiful.
do.
Tell me a little
Yes.
bit about that.
So first starting with Noeen or Foot Solutions?
Sure, both. However
Both.
they go.
Okay, so years back now, I guess it's been about 7 years ago, was on Shark Tank for the product Noeen. And what Noeen is, it's this shock absorbing material that absorbs and disperses what we like to call high frequency shock. The best way to describe that is if you were to take a metal bat and hit a metal pole, the vibration that comes down the bat and stings your hands is high frequency shock. So what happens is Noeen's able to absorb and internally disperse up to 96% of that shock. So when it relates to the body, like whenever you walk or run, jump, especially on a hard surface, foot strikes the ground, and then those shock waves hit your feet, then your ankles, then your knees, your hips, your low back. And it just protects the joints. So when I presented this on Shark Tank, the sharks were blown away. I mean, the presentation is amazing, right? There's no magic behind it, but the science is all there. And Mark Cuban and Damon John, they made an offer on Shark Tank, which was really neat. And the deal went through, everything is going really, really well. And then Foot Solutions eventually comes to the table and they acquired it. And so I'm now part of Foot Solutions because I'm still on, so I'm a partner in Foot Solutions. And my day-to-day is helping to grow the brand of Foot Solutions.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
I've got to get my hands on some of those because at the end of the month, I'm walking 30 miles in Atlanta for breast cancer. So those would probably come in handy. And I think now you're partnering with the Falcons.
Yes. But before you go there, what walk are you doing?
It's called It's the Journey.
It's the
the 2-day walk for breast
We're
cancer.
a sponsor.
Are you
Stephanie
really?
Tucker, yes, is the executive director.
Give me a shirt. I'll wear it. It's got to be pink though.
Yes, it has to be pink. Yes.
Maybe if
Great
you're in town,
organization.
you can come out. We're doing a benefit actually at Guston's in Ackworth on the 28th of September, Wednesday night. We've got some music.
Yeah.
We're going to call it a pink out.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to wear pink. We're going to raise money for cancer, and then we check into the Marriott that Thursday for the walk.
Man, that's awesome.
I will buy a pair of those. I'm not kidding.
Come on, great.
We're walking 30
great
miles.
Organization.
Do they fit them, or do you get custom fit, or just?
So Noeen is trimmed to fit. Yes.
I'm getting some.
But come on into the
Done.
store, man, so we can make sure you're wearing the right footwear. We got you hooked up.
I also
We
run
got you.
Guston's Ackworth, so I'm on my feet like 60 hours a week. So I'm probably gonna have to come get custom fitted
Come
too.
on.
This is gonna be
No, I'm in.
wonderful.
I'm all in.
No, I'm dead serious.
I'm probably going to bring you a few people from our team because some of them have foot problems and they don't make the whole walk every year. And they were like, if only I could have something more comfortable. And
Come
look
on.
at that.
We
Fate
got you.
has intervened.
We'll keep you healthy and happy on your feet. We got you.
So one other thing that I found too, there is an NFL players choir.
Yes.
I did not know that existed. And you were a part of that.
Yes.
And you guys were on America's Got Talent. Better singer, you or Isaiah McKenzie?
Oh, you know what? I'll give it to Isaiah.
Now, is there anybody who's the Aaron Neville? Like, is there like one big, just mean NFL player, but he has the voice of just like an angel?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of God. Yes. There's
You
a
know,
lot.
Aaron
Brian McKinney. Yes.
Aaron Neville looks like he's a bad dude. He's got the dagger hanging from his ear, and he's got he looks tough. I mean, I'm not saying he's not. He probably is, but then he starts singing. It's like, what a sweet man. You know,
People get pregnant through their
yeah,
ears.
yeah. The Neville brothers, man, they're great, and they're from New Orleans, by the way.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that experience, though, on America's Got Talent.
Super cool experience. So, yeah, you're right. Not a lot of people know about the NFL Players Choir. And it was actually formed. So, at the site of the Super Bowl every year for the past a little over 20 years, it's called Super Bowl Gospel Celebration. And it is an event. It's actually the only gospel event that's sanctioned by the NFL. And so you would have all these gospel and Christian recording artists that come in, they grace the stage. Well, one year it was Patti LaBelle early on.
Oh, man.
And Patti, so singing, and then she looked out in the crowd and she was like, I see a lot of handsome NFL players that are out there, but I bet none of y'all can sing. And one by one, guys started coming up and she would hand them the mic and they would sing something. So that's where the idea was birthed. Actually, the executive producer, her name's Melanie Few. She had the vision and say, why not get all of these guys together and create an NFL Players Choir? So for every year, we would be up there in robes, singing, it was really cool. But it wasn't necessarily about singing for the players. It was about an extension of the locker room. So getting guys together and just being able to, share stories, and obviously enemies on the field. But outside of that, it's a big brotherhood. It's a big fraternity.
Sure.
And so we would do events, 1 or 2 events a year for charity. And this past year we sang the Pro Bowl, the national anthem at the Pro Bowl. And in doing that, the producers of AGT, somebody reached out and said, we think you guys should audition. It would probably make a really cool story. And we thought about it. We were like, AGT, yes, no. Eventually ended up doing it and went out there for the audition, had so much fun. We sang Lean On Me for our audition. And, they put this track together and we're trying to sing and dance. I mean, it's like the funniest thing. And so Simon says afterwards, he was like, that track was terrible. I want to hear you guys sing a cappella. Are y'all really singing? And we looked at each other. We were like, all right, ready? Let's go. And we started singing and, we got a standing ovation and they pushed us through to the live rounds. So just a couple of weeks ago, we were back out there in California singing in the live rounds, which is cool.
Man, oh man, that is amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
I think I read something about how you got edged out maybe by the Bare Naked Ladies. Which you have more talent than they do. I'm just saying. Don't feel bad. These guys are terrible.
Well, that was long. So that was something completely different. That was Monday Night at the Mic.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, Monday Night at the Mic. My rookie year, it was a round robin musical competition, and they paired a player up with a recording artist. So I was paired up with Michelle Branch.
Yep.
And made it to the finals and got beat by Doug Flutie and the Bare Naked
You
Ladies.
got job. That's some WWF old school jobbing.
Well, see, okay, the Bare Naked Ladies brought in the magic flute. So what are you going to do?
That's Doug. And Doug was like, I've been playing the drums longer than this guy's been alive. I was like, yeah, very true.
Now you play piano.
I do.
And I want to say trumpet.
No, little
saxophone.
Yeah, little saxophone, guitar, but piano's my main. Yeah.
Man.
Now, can you play stride?
I don't know.
A little stride piano, kind of Ray Charles, a la Ray Charles, Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I also read that you have title boxing in Alpharetta.
Yes.
Can you teach me to box?
We can teach you to box.
Fair enough.
We can teach you to box.
My mom lives out in Alpharetta, so I've seen the title boxing out there, going to visit her, and I've always just wanted to get into. I have such a problem working out because I don't like working out with other people.
Okay.
But I also don't know exactly what I'm doing. So the boxing workout, like watching boxers work out, always seemed to make the most sense. It seemed to be the most effective to me.
It is very effective. It is very effective. Yes.
I mean, have you seen Rocky?
Yeah, no, but that's
Apollo.
That's my point. But there seems to be there's purpose. You know what I mean? There seems to be a purpose and a method to what's going on. So I've always thought about it. Now, do you actually work there? Do you own?
So own it, yeah.
Okay, and work out there.
I do work out there when I have the moments to get over there.
Fair enough.
Yes.
That's the other thing. Time
for a long time. Actually, trained classes too. Would train a couple of classes a week. I really enjoy it. I mean, it's great. I got into it. So after my rookie year, the vets were like, B. Scott, we're gonna go box in the off season. And then my first thought was like, nah, I'm good. I don't box.
Seems like a trap.
Right. Is this part of rookie hazing? Or are y'all gonna get me? And they were like, no, this is how you're gonna stay in shape during the off season. And we went down to this spot down in Buckhead, and a bunch of guys from different teams. This is where it was. And I got in a round or two, and I was just dying. I was like, man, I thought I was in shape. And that's how I kind of fell in love with it. So once I retired, I got into the franchise, Title Boxing Club.
So I want to preface this by saying I am not here to say I can box or ruffle any feathers. But, like everybody always talks about, I don't see why it's that hard to hit a baseball. And it's like, you ever stood in the box and seen a 98-mile-an-hour fastball? I've seen it. My cousin played for the Indians. He was 97, 98. It's crazy. I would like to climb in and say, hey, all the respect in the world, just so I could say, hey, you ever been in the ring with a boxer? Just to have the experience, but I'd like to do it. But I wish somehow I could get involved and help save boxing, because I love boxing. He'll tell you, I love it so much. There wasn't a fight back in the day that we didn't go rent a big screen TV, have everybody over, man, and people always dog on Money Mayweather, but, man, that guy is pound for pound one of the greatest defensive. They always talk about the shoulder roll, and I'm like, the point is to not get hit.
Right. That's right.
And he's a master of it. He's one of the greatest boxers ever, and I tell people all the time, they're like, you don't like UFC? I'm like, no, I like the sweet science.
Yeah,
because
it is a sweet science.
It is a science. There is skill. Like, not everybody can just jump in there and do it. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. Maybe I can just start hanging out.
It would be great. I remember when UFC first came out, and it was like giant people versus little people, and the little people were choking them out, and that was just so.
Royce Gracie, remember him?
100%. But that was fun. You had like Tank Abbott versus Royce Gracie, and you're like, what's going to happen here? And then the little dude climbs the big dude, and then the big dude falls, and it was amazing.
A lot of times you didn't even know what happened. They would be down on the ground, all of a sudden the big dude is tapping out. You're like, what just happened?
You just wait for the slow-mo replay to find out what just went down.
I remember the first time I saw Kimbo slice, and it was at like 2 a.m. on some odd channel, and he was in Thailand somewhere. And I was like, look at that guy. But, man, he moved like a cat.
Oh.
I mean, it was crazy.
Kimbo.
But now it's a shell of its former self.
It took over kind of like wrestling did. But it's sad because I feel like all the guys that were boxing I don't know what that was. Sorry.
I think that's our cue. They may be switching the film over and everything. They may give us.
I had a stopwatch on.
Second half. For the second half. We'll keep going until they tell us to stop, though.
Yeah. No. What was I talking about? UFC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I just feel like all the guys that were training to be boxers saw like the writing on the wall, and then Dana White turning it into something much bigger than it started out being. And the people who could have gone on to be amazing boxers decided to become multifaceted and go for the glitz and the glamour. And it just kind of really took away from boxing, which sucked, because I remember the first bet I ever lost in my life. My dad took me to watch the Tyson Holyfield fight, and I bet on Tyson, and I bet a lot of money for.
Was this the ear bite?
Yeah, I bet a lot of money for.
I was at the Georgia Theater watching that fight in Athens
for a kid, and then I swear. He bit his ear, and I was like, what just happened? And my dad looked at me and he said, well, that'll teach you to gamble. And I was like, fair enough. Like, but man, boxing was great. It did bring people together. And like, I don't see the same thing. I wish the people that were super gifted in boxing would just stay super gifted in boxing and keep it going. You get a couple of great fighters every now and again coming through the ranks. And you're like, man, this is going to be awesome, but they're not going to have anybody to fight. And it's just going to, if they find one person that they're competitive with, it's going to be those guys fighting 3 times, and then they're both going to just go fight lesser competition because that trilogy is done.
I think you can argue this point if you want, but I think the last great heavyweight we saw was probably Lennox Lewis. I don't know. I mean, Klitschko, some of those guys, but just really like, because boxers used to be polarizing figures. They were bigger than life. And I think it was Lennox Lewis. I can't think of anybody. I think that's when I started to lose interest.
I can't remember.
Man, he was a big guy.
Was he? Because, I mean, you think Mike Tyson was a solid guy too, right? And I think about it, I'm like, man, he's 220 pounds.
Right.
It's not huge.
That's
Just
I
knew
weigh
how to-
more than
you
that.
just knew how to hit. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know how to
Yes.
square up and nail somebody and knock them back
not in the
5
boxing,
yards.
Not in the
But
boxing ring, though. Yeah.
I don't know what do you think happened in the boxing world? I mean, do you follow it that closely, or I mean, nobody's ever really been able to explain it. I haven't read anything like what happened. Like they just went away. Canelo Alvarez is exciting. There's some other guys, but no more. Gone are the days of like the big fight.
Yeah, well, I think Mark hit the nail on the head. When Dana White and they opened up UFC, it just kind of it was more interesting to folks, right? It was, and then honestly, I think it's barbaric.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Now they call it ground and pound, but I remember my nephew got married up in Philly last summer. And I remember going to a Buffalo Wild Wings, and I'm watching Floyd Mayweather and Jake Paul, or one of those Paul brothers, and I'm like, this is the best we got. This is the best we've got now. Like it's a prize fight. It was totally a soap opera. It was fake for all,
It could
fake.
just be a sign of the times if you think about it too. Like America's pastime used to be baseball. And it used to be boxing. Now it's UFC and football.
Yeah.
Like without question, those are the two most popular sports.
Dollar wise, I don't know. I would think so, but I think baseball is still.
No. I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying that's the old guard.
Right.
The new guard is ushering in their love of football and UFC fighting, and that's what you can see. I mean, baseball's never going to go away because it's a major four.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. It's up there. They're going to be popular. It's just going to be scaled, but every one of them is going to be popular. Boxing, UFC came in. Boxing was all boxing had. They didn't have any competition.
There wasn't anything else.
Then
You're right.
UFC came in, and it's the new shiny thing. So I can see a little bit more, and the ADD generation prefers all the craziness of a UFC fight over the technical science, which is the same. Not to say that football is any less technical than baseball, but it's just a slower, more nuanced sport. Baseball is than football. So
and what's interesting is what happened in the game of football. The rule changes to increase the score, touchdowns, excitement, and that's really what started bringing. That's when it spiked, because it was like, man, scoring touchdowns, all the fun stuff, firing cannons, all that stuff,
how does that make you feel?
As a defensive player,
right? It doesn't make it. Well, I don't really buy into a lot of the rule changes. I don't like. If you're making a rule change for safety, I can buy into that. If it's about player safety and it's really about player safety, absolutely. Yeah. But if it's about putting a higher scoring product out for the fans, like you're making the sport lopsided. You're almost making it unfair, especially on your side of the ball.
It will definitely so, yes, on the defensive side. But that's when women, they said women and children started watching more when the scoring went up, which means more ticket sales, TV, all that stuff, right? As a husband, when your wife's like, nah, I want to go to the game too, like creating harmony at home.
Fair enough. So there's silver linings to everything, right?
To it, right? But as a defensive player, yes, it definitely makes the game that much harder, because you're not acting, you're reacting in a split of a second, But listen, you adapt, you pivot and adapt, and
I miss the old days, and I know, CTE is no joke. And it's a terrible thing, and I hope they figure that out some days. And I know they've got the helmets, but I'm not this old, but Dick Lane, who wore a cast long after he didn't need the cast, just wrecking people.
Just a club guy.
And I don't know how far back you go in Falcons history or with the team or anything, but there was a guy in Atlanta named Scott Case.
I know the name. Yep. I know Scott. Yep.
Oh my goodness. He would level people. And people don't realize this when you talk about some of the hardest hitters in football ever. Brian Jordan, man, that dude can put a lick on you. The Hammer, Jesse Tuggle. I just miss those hits.
Keith Brooking.
And again, I get it, but man, just knocking the hell out of somebody.
The only thing that really bugs me now is like I'm all about don't launch, don't helmet to helmet. Like oh, that stuff's crazy. That could actually like really. It's football. Like so you can get hurt on literally every play,
Every single play. Yep. Collision sport.
The clean hits, like the ones you dream about, the ones dreams are made of, like those ones when you see that and like your body shakes and like you get so amped up, and then all of a sudden you see laundry floating through the air.
Here we go.
Just like,
what is there one in your mind, like in your whole career, that when you think about, boy, I really squared up on that dude and got him. Like, what is it? Which one? Is there just one like that sticks out in your memory? Just like, man, he woke up. I put that guy into next week. That's how hard I hit him.
The way that I approached the game, I was more of a tackler than a hitter. You would see guys, make a big hit, and sometimes guys stay on their feet. I was all about, nope.
You're going
as
down.
a defensive back, you're going down, right? Last line of defense, you're going down. Now there have been times where there's been pretty big collisions, and I've had my fair share of concussions, right, where you get knocked out of the game, and I've seen some pretty big hits as well. But there still are those shots.
Oh,
you just can't take it at the head, you know.
100%.
Put that shoulder right through your chest.
And I think what's happening for me too is that you see it a lot in college football. Change the complete balance of the game because sometimes they're clean, sometimes they're targeting, but like you impact a kid so much when you take him out of the game and then the following game for a call that is speculative on the field, made in a split second.
That's right.
And you go back and review and you can't get a great angle. But it's all about protecting people. But like I don't know. I'm trying not to be a conspiracy theorist in my old age, but sometimes it feels like it's a very easy way to change
the outcome of the game. Yeah, no question. And even times it's like you're moving at such a fast pace, right? If you're a receiver and you're stretched out and you think there's contact coming, your natural reaction is buckle down, right? Drop. Well, you're dropping. I already was where I was going, and you changed in that split second. Now I'm supposed to change, and just because I it can be accidental.
I'm coming shoulder to chest, catch and go fetal, and now I am head to head with you.
I'm telling you,
it's nobody's. At that point, I feel like it's nobody's fault, and I know they're trying to protect people, but I don't understand.
But what's also interesting is the studies show in the NFL they came out, because they are about health and safety, right?
100%.
Concussions aren't the biggest injury and career-ending injury that's out there. It's lower extremities. So instead of going for your chest or the head, now I'm going for your knees. There's no win.
Right.
It's a collision sport. It's
Do you feel like it's like when people say if you play half speed, you're more likely
to get hurt. That's right.
Do you feel like that might be what some of these rule changes are doing, is causing people to, be conscious of not doing something, which causes them to play a half step different so they don't helmet to helmet, or they're conscious of what they can't do?
I think it changes how you have to approach it, right? And again, my mentality always anyway was I'm a tackler. I'm not a hitter. And so, man, make the catch. I'm going to bring you down.
So you mentioned concussions and CTE. You're good to go. You get checked out. Is that something you have to follow up on like each year or keep an eye on?
Not each year, but I have been checked out. I went and saw a brain specialist. I've been through all of that. I try to just live life taking care of you. I mean, the brain, it's there, trying to stay in shape, eat healthy, do all the right things, but I would be lying if I didn't say I don't think about the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years of life.
Because you are a little younger than me, so you came from a time to where if you got your bell rung, it was kind of like,
shake it off.
Rub some
get
dirt
back
on
in
it.
there.
Get back in there. That's right.
You okay? You can.
That's right.
That's
right.
And speaking of which, it's like sitting in the room, and I'm going to say the word legend, but you played at Penn State under Joe Paterno.
Yes.
And that to me, I don't know. I think it's because I had a youth minister growing up, and he loved Penn State, so I watched Penn State football. But for me, it just seems like that's just different. Like playing at Penn State and playing for Joe Paterno is just I don't even have the words to describe it. I mean, what was he like? I mean, I can't. And man, I was so sad at the end because I can't think of another college coach or anybody whose entire existence. Joe Paterno was there for 60 years.
Long time.
He was a
long time.
I don't want to say a boy, but in his early 20s. And then, I mean, it's crazy. Like, you can't say Penn State, and not even just Penn State football, just Penn State.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to Joe Paterno. So what was he like? Just as a leader, as a coach?
Yeah. So coming out of high school, there was I was recruited by a lot of different schools. And I'll say the first time that I sat down with Coach Paterno, it was the first and really only time he talked to me like a grandfather. And he said, Brian, listen, I know you're getting looked at by a lot of schools, but when you make your decision not based off of what your friends and family wants. Don't make a decision based off of a football program. Make it based off of, if you go to whatever school you go to, can you see yourself being a student? Because if football doesn't work out, whether it's here or somewhere else, I can't guarantee that it will. Making sure that you enjoy being a student at that campus. Because a lot of times people will go for just the sport, doesn't work out, they're going somewhere else. He said, coming here, I will make sure you go to class. I want to make sure that you graduate because this is such a small part of your life. And so even if football doesn't work out, you'll keep your scholarship. I mean, it really, I felt like I was talking to my grandfather. That was the first thing that I really, really appreciated about it. And a lot of people don't know this. If you were playing for Coach Paterno and you weren't going to class, it didn't matter if you were the star or not. He wasn't playing you. And he based it upon your potential. So if you were an A student and you were making B's and C's, still eligible to play, it's like, no, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing because I know you're better than that. So, and I promised you I was going to make sure that you succeeded in the classroom. And so that was Coach Paterno, the core of him. And I know then the question is like when everything happened, right? And so I can't speak for what the perception was. I can only speak to what he meant to me, right? And while I was there. So when all of that stuff went down, I just was thinking something's just not right because he's not the guy that cares more about winning football games than he does about kids.
Definitely not.
Like that's not him. Something is not right. And shortly after that, he got sick, he passed away. And then, the narrative, it just kind of ran. But man, I had such a great time on that campus.
Yeah.
Such a great time. He prepared me for life.
He said, I can't even imagine what it would be like to meet him or have him in my living room. He gave everything he had, not just to the football program, but to Penn State University. I mean, he was bigger than the president of that university. I mean, he is today, I still think, Penn State University. So I was just like, man, this guy.
He's done a lot for the university, and every single person that has played underneath him, I think they walk away having now a better person, well equipped, better equipped, I'll say, for life.
Before talking to him, was Penn State where you wanted to go initially?
It's funny
from up there.
It's funny. I never really watched a lot of college sports growing up. I was Eagles fan, Sixers, Phillies, and
are you still all those things?
No, I moved down here, man.
I'm just checking.
Just checking. Yeah, no. Love the Hawks, Falcons, right? Braves.
Next time you're on the show, I'll get you my John Collins choking Embiid out after he yammed on him. Yep.
But in saying that, so when the colleges started coming in, I was like, man, this is kind of cool, but I didn't realize how big college football was, and when they started coming in, I was the Pennsylvania Player of the Year. So I mean, you name it, I have a letter from them. I still now.
So do you have a letter from a certain university down here in Athens?
I do.
Oh,
I do. Yeah. At home, there's those really big moving boxes. I probably have 6 of them full to the brim of college letters.
Who was your pick? Was there a favorite before Penn State or? did you have some picks like, hey, I think I'm going to go here? Like who were kind of your top three maybe or
top
something?
Top 3 or 4. UNC, UVA, Michigan, Penn State.
Okay.
Yeah.
I go to school at Michigan right now.
And was interested in Miami, but just thought it was far, being from Pennsylvania. And they also were coming off of, they had gotten in trouble, right? And what's interesting is, so I was like, well, nah, they're not bowl eligible because, they're still in these restrictions. And then I get to Penn State the next year, the 2000 team, 2001, some of the greatest collegiate team in the history, Miami Hurricanes.
Yep.
They had some talent. I don't think people realize how talented they were.
Man, that was dumb. The backups are going into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that,
the backups to the backups.
right. Yeah,
Like-
it's that team was just good for years to come.
It was crazy. The running backs, it was Clinton Portis, McGahee, and
Gore.
then backing him up was Gore.
Yeah.
And
Can we
Gore
just-
wasn't even dressed.
Man, tore his ACL twice and still played in the NFL for like 47 seasons. Like just a truck, a beast.
Hold on, just think about that. That's like the running back with the most longevity in NFL history in Frank Gore. Willis McGahee
Yeah.
and Clinton
And
Portis.
Clinton Portis.
Yeah,
Najee
man,
Davenport was back there. Then the tight ends, Jeremy Shockey, and backing him up was Kellen Winslow.
Yeah.
I mean, there were so many first-round picks and guys that went onto the league that year. It was ridiculous.
The thing about
ridiculous.
Frank Gore is he had probably, for me, the quietest Hall of Fame career ever.
Yeah.
Nobody knows it, but I talk about it all. We were talking about it at a Braves game not too long ago. Somebody said, is Frank Gore still playing? I said, no, I think he finally hung up his cleats. I was like, but he came into the league in like 1977. Like, it just seems like he played forever and just very quietly just racked up the yards and racked up the yards.
Just a
and
workhorse.
And he's going to Canton.
Like
Just a
every
workhorse.
year in fantasy football, it's like, oh shit, Frank Gore's on the board. Click.
Just a workhorse. That's right.
So, man, where are we going? You play. So the Bills, you played there for the bulk of your career. They have a great, incredible fan base. Like I said, they have. I see people down here with like a silhouette of the state of Georgia and it says Bills country, and I almost want to argue with them. But for the sake of fun, can I tell 2 Bills jokes?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Did you know that the Buffalo Bills got into the drink coaster business
Did not.
because they'll never leave a ring on your table? And then I have some friends that are Bills fans, but do you know what Bills stands for?
What does it stand for?
Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. But so that kind of just shifts me into why we're doing what we're doing, and maybe you can kind of shed some light on it. And I know they're in every fan base, the Twitter GMs and the people who think they know better, but I feel like it's more rampant down here, and we're not as unified. So years ago, we had a podcast in my basement. We just started it on a whim with a guy who used to be the radio producer for the Atlanta Braves for about 10 seasons. And we were just kind of promoting it ourselves. None of us knew what we were doing except for him, and he taught us a lot, and we kind of learned a little bit. But it was started out as we're not huge Atlanta sports radio fans. Because for better or worse, there's a lot of great people over there, but they're not from here. Hugh Douglas is a great guy, but he played for the Eagles. He's not emotionally invested. He gets paid to bring us our news, and a lot of the personalities, they've self-proclaimed on the air, I'm a Patriots guy. And we just, they've been around for like 20 years.
Right,
the same
right.
kind of. So we said, we're going to throw our hat in the ring and we'll put ourselves out there. I just wore a ridiculous cape and a crown, So we just felt like there was room in the market for another show and a more fan-centric kind of just 3 guys or 4 guys sitting around the bar talking about sports. And that's kind of who we are. So the question I wanted to ask you is, when guys go play places or get traded or sign, how much do they put into the fan base of do I want to play here? Is it even a thought at all? Or is there so many other things that go into a player picking where they play? Do they really think about like, I would rather not play there because the fans are terrible?
I don't know if that's the number one thing on the list. Definitely not.
Yeah.
But, honestly, I mean, when I got down to Atlanta, I never thought, the fans. When I first got, my first thought was when I got drafted was, Michael Vick's the quarterback. I'm getting to play with Mike. And then, you know, a huge fan base when I got traded to New Orleans. Again, it wasn't, man, the fan base is awesome. That's an awesome fan base in New Orleans. So yeah, I don't know if it's top of mind, but it definitely plays a part, because once you get to that city and, you know, you get acclimated and you get it, especially when you get out in the community and you get a chance to meet the fans, man, they're everything. And you realize, like, and especially the fans, that it's more to them, it's more than a game, right? Like when you really talk to fans, and, you know, it's a cool story. While in New Orleans, met a couple of fans where they came up and they were like, "Thank you for what you do." And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? You know, you don't understand. Ever since I was a kid, the moments of my dad taking me to these games and being able to just disconnect and spend that quality time, he since has passed on. But by me going to the games, it brings back that feeling and that memory of him. So it's more than a game, right? So for a lot of fans, when you see they get really, really upset because, you know, a team might have lost, it's more than just the scoreboard, right? It's really deep. So I can appreciate that. True fans, I really appreciate, because it's bigger than just the sport.
I'm going to tell you a story, and it might make you tear up a little bit for what you're talking about. I think so. Mark is a Falcons all the way. He's a fanboy. I'm a Braves fanboy. Now I love the Falcons. I love the Hawks, but like how he is with the Falcons, I am with the Braves. And here's why. One of the reasons I love the Atlanta Braves so much, because what you were just saying, when I think about the Atlanta Braves, I think about being about 5 or 6 years old in Madison, Georgia, sitting on my grandmother's front porch. She lived in a trailer out in the middle of nowhere, crickets chirping, fireflies. She's snapping green beans in a bucket. I have a bottle Coke. It's ice cold. The air's kind of thick. And Ernie Johnson, who used to call, he's on the radio in the background. And I'm just sitting, and she dips snuff, and she's just spitting her snuff and snapping her green beans, and we're just listening to a Braves games, and my feet's hanging off the porch. And when I think about that, I'm like, man, I love the Braves so much. And but that's kind of what we're doing is almost like fan accountability, because we think some of these fans out here in Atlanta need to be held accountable for their actions, because I think they put too much on players. Too much pressure maybe to perform, or I don't know. I just don't think they respect how hard it is to get out there and do it week in and week out, and how hard winning is. Yeah. You know, just like the whole thing in the beginning where they were just ready to say, well, Desmond Ritter's not leaving without a Super Bowl. And it's like, come on, man. Like, just stop it with that. And they don't understand, like, 2-3 weeks in a row, Bryan Scott, he's the king of the world. He's great. One bad game. Get that guy out of here, man. He's on boo. I'm just like, stop it.
You gotta think too, like, we're all roughly the same age. Most of these kids that are doing, or I say kids because that's what you lump them into, but most of the people that you're seeing that are like on the internet all the time, and they're the people, the contrarians that just see somebody post something about something and just want to watch the world burn by posting something online. Like, these guys don't understand what it's like to have like dirty fingertips because you're pulling through the sports section of an actual newspaper because you actually care so much about sports. You'll read the box score to every baseball game. You'll know the starting lineup to every major league team just because you read it every single day, because you actually truly love and you connect with it. The internet has become this place where and I feel like maybe it's given as much as I agree with everything that we're talking about here, like, sometimes I feel like it's people that don't care at all, that just want to jump in. Trolls. And start a fire and run away and watch it burn from afar.
You do have some of that, of course.
But of course, it is, sports is so much bigger than just sports. And I know some people play, but like, you can tell the people that have the real connection. You can tell the people that love. And I'm not saying all the people that are negative about their sports team, maybe something happened and like that's what's bigger to you. Maybe that sports team connects you with a memory of negativity.
That's right.
And that's why you're negative about that specific team. Even though deep down you probably love them, it probably brings up something that you don't like. But like, the passion it is what's important to me. Like I'd like to see that you're passionate about it and you're like the same. It's just the people that are, it's the hot takers now.
Yeah.
Like something happens, something minuscule happens, and it's like getting in on a stock early. You want to be the first person to say somebody sucks. And so when they do suck, you can be like, yeah, I told you.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm right. Look at me. But like that, but so many, it's a lot. And then people see that and it snowballs. Unfortunately, for everything good the internet is, it also brings that upon us.
Yeah.
It does for sure. So we still got a little further to go. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this, but in 2012, you were the Walter Payton Man of the Year. And could you tell us a bit about that and how it went down and what it felt like to win that award?
Very humbling award. You know, I have such I love to be in the community. I love to give. That's really what fills my cup, right? And what's really cool is when I first got in the league, my rookie year, it was Warwick Dunn who won the award here in Atlanta. And I just kind of asked him about it. And I also told him, I said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a foundation because I just want to give back. And he would always say, well, do what you're passionate about. You know, if you're not passionate about running football camps, then don't run football camps. Just do what you're passionate about. And his platform was building homes for single moms, right? That was his story. And I've always been passionate about music and about the arts. And so I started a foundation called the Pick Your Passion for the Arts Foundation. And as it grew, every off day, I would adopt a high school and we would go and we would support the local arts communities. You'd go see the symphony, you'd go to an art gallery, go to maybe a restaurant if you're into culinary arts. And that's just what I did. And, anytime I had downtime on an off day, I was just out in the community doing something. So at the end of the year, there was an event going on. It was actually one of my events where brought kids to it and the Bills organization came and they said, Brian, we got a surprise for you. We're going to present you with something. And they presented that award. The Walter Payton Man of the Year award for the Bills.
The waterworks came on.
I mean, I wasn't expecting it. It was really, really cool,
That's a hell of a surprise.
It is. It really is. It really is.
I would argue it's probably, I'm probably just talking out of my ass here, but more important than a lot of other awards. Like, of all the awards you can win in the National Football League, that's up there with like MVPs and other awards. It's really special, and it's really because it's just one, right? For the whole entire league.
So what they
one
do
guy
is
wins it, right?
They take one guy from each team, the nominees, and then from there they choose one. The NFL Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Yeah,
but
not too many people can claim that.
Yeah, it's great because it recognizes your what you do on the field as well as, more importantly, off the field, right? So it's a great award. I'm glad that they're doing it, and they're making a big deal about it too.
As they should.
On TV, they're now bringing in all the guys, everyone that from the team, they all stand up on stage. It's just really cool. It's really cool. They're doing a good job with it. Yeah.
So we've got more because I texted Mark last night. I said, man, I said I knew who he was, but I'm just deep diving here. I was like, this is an interesting guy. And Mark asked you this earlier. You were in a movie as well.
I was. Man, y'all dug pretty far.
I'm telling you.
Trust and believe, I was up very late trying to find a way to watch it.
We weren't not going to be prepared.
I don't think it's still out.
I didn't watch House of the Dragon last night searching for your movie.
I don't think it ever made it to DVD. It definitely wasn't, in the movie theater. And that came from Monday night on the mic, seeing that, and I played both the piano and the drums with Michelle Branch's band. And so this movie called White Men Can't Rap, it was a spoof on, it had music to it and they needed a drummer. And they asked me if I wanted to be the drummer in the movie. So my character's name was called Tater.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But we have Eminem. One white dude can rap. So there's that.
I mean, I watched the preview.
Yeah.
I did get to see the preview of it. It looked like it was...
Man, it was bad.
Hysterical. It looked hysterical. I really want to watch it. If you ever come across
Movie
it,
night,
I don't even know where to find it. Yeah. I don't
How
even know
weird
where
would
to
it
find
be if we invited you over and you watched it with us? Would that be weird?
Would that be similar to your Walter Payton
Be
surprise?
cracking up.
Probably not. He'd be like, man, I gotta go. I don't want to watch this with these guys anymore. These guys are weird.
So, speaking of movies, I asked you earlier, and just to set up our Fave 5 for this week,
Yes.
because we're eventually going to have to tell everybody what our Fave 5 Adam Sandler movies are. Are you an Adam Sandler fan?
I am an Adam Sandler fan. Yes.
If you had to pick
top 5.
and just your favorite 5, no particular
Can I
order.
give 3?
Sure.
'Cause 3 I really like. So, Mr. Deeds.
Yeah, man.
Never underestimate my sneakiness.
50 First Dates.
That's a good one.
Also great.
Yes.
Rob Schneider in that movie, the animal trainer, like, man,
Rob
he's
is
so
hilarious.
funny
He
in
is
that
so
movie,
funny.
man.
He is so funny.
He gives the dolphins
Right.
weed brownies so they can do their tricks.
And then Happy Gilmore. Those are my 3.
Fair enough. I put this, so I just tried to, rather than just pick something every week because it's going to be what I want to talk about. So I put the poll up just to see, and I put like throwback uniforms, Adam Sandler movies, breakfast cereals, and running backs, I think, just to give variety.
Yeah.
And I think we only had like 5 votes, but everybody voted for
Adam Sandler movies. Come on. You
and
can't
as
go
soon
wrong.
as that hit, I'm like,
wrong. Yeah.
as much as that's great, now I have to pick 5. Now
Yeah.
I'm just going to rack my brain, and it's going to be a last-minute decision. I'll be second-guessing myself all the way till I say the last one.
Man, I think I got to go with Billy Madison.
Billy Madison is a great one. Yeah.
Easily Happy Gilmore, just because Carl Weathers. Everybody, I'm a Carl Weathers guy, man. I love that dude, and I actually cheered for Apollo in the Rocky movies just because he was so cool and he was such a badass and he was cocky, and I was like, oh man, God, Adam Sandler movies are tough.
And I got the one where he was the quarterback. What was that? Or he was the linebacker.
The Water Boy.
The Water Boy. Yes.
The foosball.
Yes, foosball. Gatorade.
Oh man.
Water sucks.
It really sucks.
Fonzie is the head football coach. I mean, Henry Winkler. But anger management is good.
There's so
About
yeah,
Schmidt.
there's so many. I mean, there's so many, right?
Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to take that one out because that's
Are we
a
talking
new-
comedies, I guess?
No. You can pick whichever ones you want because it's your favorite 5. But honestly, man, Uncut Gems should be just like in its own category. That movie had 0 breaks in it. It was nonstop. There were no cut scenes, no nothing. That was just like a 2-hour-long anxiety attack. It was, but it was incredible. At the end, I was like, like it was great. You don't imagine Sandler on that one, and you don't have to give your fave 5 now because I am full blown not ready for it, and I might have my
I'll
own
have to kick that
panic
one
attack.
around.
Yeah, no, there is really, once you start thinking, there's so many of them. But the one thing about Adam Sandler that I appreciate, and people knock his movies, but not every movie's going to be an Oscar worthy showing, but they're always entertaining. And that man, if that man doesn't go find just the most beautiful women to kiss in every one of his movies,
Jennifer Aniston, man.
Brooklyn Decker, why can't I think of her name? Desperado,
Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek. Like
yeah.
the list, it's endless.
Hey,
Endless. He's got Brooklyn Decker and Jennifer Aniston in the same movie.
she's Jennifer Aniston, man. She's my it girl. Her and Liz Hurley, but man, friends growing up. Still now, just if I ever meet her, it's over. Breaking up with my girlfriend. Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. So another question I wanted, and we're running almost out of time. You have to do other things, but favorite football player growing up, and when did it kind of start to, for you? You said, I want to be a professional football player. Or this is the path I want to take. What age? And what age did somebody, maybe come to you or your parents and say, hey, you got a very talented young man here?
So running backs, Eric Dickerson, and then Barry Sanders. Love to see those highlights. I grew up an Eagles fan, so Randall Cunningham. Love to see him play. Again, I didn't watch a heck of a lot of TV. because I was always the one that was outside wanting to play. And I always thought I was going to be the next Michael Jordan, like every kid, right?
Sometimes I dream.
That's right.
He is me.
There it is.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, sorry, I had to do that.
And, you know, I grew pretty quickly. So I started dunking in basketball when I was in the 7th grade. And I was thinking, man, I'm going to be tall, and stopped growing. And played basketball in high school. And I played football, obviously. And I still was thinking, no, I want to go on to play basketball in college. Well, when the college letters started coming in, it was all Division I football. I might have gotten one Division III letter for basketball. So I was thinking, well, I guess football is choosing me, and because I want to play at a big school. And so that's really when it was.
So being the age that you are, and I think maybe he was a couple years younger, but being up in that kind of football, basketball scene, did you ever cross paths with the Mamba?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
Do you have a Kobe Bryant story?
I totally do.
All
That's
right.
a great.
Heck yeah.
I totally do. So, yes, he went to Lower Merion, which was in our district. But before I knew who he was, so Pennsylvania, they have this thing called the Keystone State Games, and it's where they take every region of the state, you know, split it up, and then they bring you together. It's almost like Olympics for high school sports, and they have different age groups. So Kobe, a little older than I am, he played in the team higher than my team, but we were still from the same region. And I didn't know who Kobe was. But after we played our game, the younger kids would play in the morning, and then everyone was like, all right, we got to hurry up and go over and see the bigger guys play because we want to see Kobe. And I'm like, who's Kobe? What are they talking about? So this guy, they take the court, and the strategy was 4 guys on the court, they would go to one side, Kobe would have the ball on the other side of the court because you couldn't play zone defense. You had to play man-to-man. And Kobe was just tearing up the guy that was covering him. I mean, he was doing it all. I had never seen anything like that. So at halftime, before they go into the locker room, this one girl in the crowd is like, Kobe, take it between the legs. And he just points and he was like, I got you. They come out after halftime. The very first possession, Kobe gets a steal, comes down, fast break, between the legs, slam dunk. What he did his rookie year in the dunk competition, I was like, this dude is unbelievable. So that was my first experience. And then afterwards, we all go back to the hotel. And I mean, we would just sit in the lobby. Kobe was like sitting in this chair, big chair, just sitting there. And everyone's just kind of crowded around like Indian style, just asking questions. You know, I was like,
man,
this dude is legit.
So I can't think of a better way to end the show than a Kobe Bryant story. That's crazy. I mean, what was he, probably 18 or 19 at the time?
Yeah,
so
young kid.
Could you just maybe not like right away, but like looking back, maybe just kind of tell where he was headed? Because people don't know this. A lot of people don't know he's a super intelligent person.
Yep.
He spoke,
Yep.
6 or 7 languages.
Yeah.
Just very awesome person, and that's a whole nother story for another time. But when we talk about greatest of all time, because there's certain people that aren't even in the top 5, but they think they are, but we won't go there. But again, man, thank you so much for coming on our little show here. But it's going to be a big show, I feel. But really, really, you have no idea how much it means. And thanks to Tim and Jared for getting it all shored up. But it was a pleasure to meet you.
Man, thank you
I had
guys
a
for
great
having
time
me.
talking to
Man,
you.
It was great.
I hope maybe you come back on, and then you can, call and say, hey, man, I got a podcast now, too, that I go on. Give some rival to your family members and say, hey, man, I got, mine's better than yours. The competition. Probably not, but we're going to get there one day.
You can let Doug and Ryan know they've been replaced.
Let Doug and Ryan know.
Be a regular on our show.
But anyway, man, it was great talking to you, and maybe we'll come back and talk some Atlanta sports, but we just wanted to get you on here and fan out, and it was really cool, and what an amazing time. And other than that, he's got a photo shoot. We're just going to sit around and talk about how we had Bryan Scott here today. And other than that, we'll see you next time, Atlanta. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do you believe?